In this video we're going to show you how to troubleshoot erratic speed on an ESM. Erratic speed means that as a person's on the ESM, you might see that it'll kind of speed up or slow down without any commands on the keypad. The first thing we're going to check is our RPM sensor and the gap between the RPM sensor and the tack wheel. You'll have to remove the user's left-hand side shrouds to see the RPM sensor and gain access to make any adjustments. If you'll look right here, this is where the RPM sensor and tack wheel are. If you look right here, you'll see a close-up view of the RPM sensor right here, and then this is your tack wheel. What we want to do is it's this gap right here that we want to be 1 millimeter. If it's over 1 millimeter, you're going to run into some problems where it might intermittently read, and that'll cause some of the speeds to be erratic. If you're not sure what 1 millimeter is, often like a credit card is probably closer to a millimeter, but that's definitely what we want to have. If there is too much of a gap, then what you'll need to do is you'll loosen up this screw right here and then make the adjustment. The one thing you want to note is when you tighten up the RPM sensor, you want to make sure that the RPM sensor is not twisted to one side. It needs to be kind of parallel with the tack wheel. If it's kind of cocked, like an angle like this, you might run into issues where it'll hit, or you're going to run into issues where it doesn't read. You want it more straight on, kind of like this. We verified that the RPM sensor gap is correct between that RPM sensor and the tack wheel. If we're still seeing some erratic speed on the ESM, the next thing you want to do is you want to check the cables that go to the alternator. I'm coming in on the user's right-hand side, so I had to remove the right-hand shroud to get to this. And you can see that once I've removed it, we got pretty clear access to the alternator. You want to visually inspect all the cables. You want to make sure that they're plugged in, there's nothing loose. You want to look for any kind of maybe frayed or charred cables. The other thing you would really want to look at is this field wire right here. This field wire is responsible for putting resistance into the whole system. If for some reason this was not plugged in, the cable was damaged or something like that, that's where you would start to lose resistance. So you definitely want to inspect the field wire right here and make sure that it's plugged in and that the cable is in good condition. In some cases, maybe just disconnect it and reconnect it might be a good idea to make sure that you have a really good connection. So we verified that our cables and all the wires going to the alternator are good. The next thing we want to do is we also want to inspect the wires that are going to the LCB or the load control board. You'll want to go through and just make sure you got nice firm connections. Now there was a plastic little like dust guard on here that I had to remove. If you don't remove that plastic dust guard, it's going to be very difficult to get in there and touch it or check all those cables. Just reach your hand in here and just make sure you got firm connections. Mainly on the one cable right here. This cable is the cable that the alternator wires go to, and so you want to make sure you got nice firm connections there as well. Just double check, make sure they're all connected, and go ahead and test the machine and see if you're still getting that erratic speed. The last area you want to check for any kind of erratic speed is you're going to check the load resistor. I'm going to just move these cables kind of out of the way, and you can see right here is your load resistor. You want to visually inspect that load resistor, make sure it doesn't look charred or kind of burnt or anything like that. Sometimes when these get charred or burnt, you'll see these little heat sink waves on it. Sometimes those might get dislodged. I mean, you could clearly tell if there's something going on here where it is discolored. The other thing you want to do is you want to inspect these wires right here. You want to make sure that they're connected nice and firmly, make sure they're not loose. If these wires are loose and you have an intermittent connection, you may run into a problem where they'll start arcing and sparking. You'll definitely see charred and burn spots on them. If you see anything like that, you definitely want to replace this because this is one area where you can definitely get some intermittent speed as well.